Accommodating people with service animals. The New Brunswick Human Rights Act, the Act, prohibits discriminatory treatment based on a person's physical or mental disabilities in employment, housing, services, and memberships in unions, professional groups, or business organizations. This includes protections for individuals who use service animals as they fall under the grounds of physical and mental disability. What is a service animal? A service animal is an animal that has been specially trained to perform specific tasks or work for a person with a disability. Dogs are the most common service animals, but other animals like cats can also be used. Service animals can assist people with various disabilities, including, but not limited to, anxiety, ADHD, visual impairment, autism, bipolar disorder, claustrophobia, depression, epilepsy, hearing impairment, mobility issues, obsessive-compulsive disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. In New Brunswick, any animal trained to assist a person with a disability can be considered a service animal under the Act, and there is no requirement for professional certification or special vests or harnesses. Similarly, emotional support animals, ESAs, are also protected under human rights legislation if they are part of a person's treatment for a disability. Duty to accommodate people with service animals. A person with a service animal, or ESA, has the same right to access public services, employment, and housing as any other person. If you require a service animal, employers, service providers, and housing providers have a legal responsibility to accommodate your reasonable request for accommodation. The duty to accommodate means that an employer, service provider, or housing provider must make exceptions to their rules or policies, such as no pets policies, to support an individual with a service animal. If it becomes too difficult for an employer, service provider, or housing provider to accommodate your service animal, for example, due to safety concerns, then they may deny your accommodation request. This is called undue hardship. Whether or not a situation creates undue hardship depends on the specific circumstances and careful assessment of each situation. An employer, service provider, or housing provider cannot automatically deny your request without first exploring all potential accommodation options. Medical documentation and service animals. Employers, service providers, and housing providers are allowed to ask for verification that an animal is a service animal or ESA. A note from a doctor or a psychologist confirming that the animal is required for medical reasons is adequate as verification. However, a person with a service animal or ESA does not need to disclose their medical condition or diagnosis as part of the accommodation process. Medical documentation only needs to confirm that the individual has a disability and that they require the animal due to their disability. Balancing accommodation needs. In some cases, employers, service providers, and housing providers may need to accommodate individuals who cannot be around service animals due to allergies or phobias. In these cases, they must balance the needs of both parties and find ways to keep the service animal at a distance from the person with the allergy or phobia, unless doing so would cause undue hardship. Example: a tenant tells the landlord that they require a service dog for a physical disability. However, another tenant informs the landlord that they have a significant phobia of dogs. To accommodate the needs of both tenants, the landlord moves the service animal user to the opposite end of the building to limit the animal's contact with the other tenant. The landlord also tells the tenant with the service animal that they may only use a specific door to enter and exit the building. Obligations of the person with a service animal. Maintain control of the service animal at all times. If the animal poses a risk to others or misbehaves, the employer, service provider, or housing provider may no longer be able to accommodate your service animal. Collaborate with the employer, service provider, or housing provider to implement reasonable accommodations for your service animal. You must accept reasonable accommodations, even if they are not your preferred options. Provide the appropriate medical documentation supporting your need for a service animal. Respond to reasonable inquiries about the function the animal performs. However, you do not have to disclose your medical condition. No pets policies. Service animals or emotional support animals are not considered pets, but rather a support for an individual with a disability. As such, no pets policies or additional pet fees should not be applied to service or emotional support animals. Do you have questions? Contact the Commission. The New Brunswick Human Rights Commission is the government agency that ensures the human rights of everyone in New Brunswick are protected under the Act. If you want to learn more about your rights and responsibilities related to service animals, contact the Commission. The Commission provides free information about your rights and can provide information about our complaint process if you believe you have experienced discrimination. You can reach us at 506-453-2301, hrc.cdp@gnb.ca, www.gnb.ca/hrc-CDP. Learn more about service animals and human rights by consulting our guideline on accommodating people with service animals.